So, hi everyone. Today I'm excited to have Shelley Hitz on the podcast. Shelley has coached thousands of authors through her books, training programs, and online events, seminars, and much more. She has over a decade of experience speaking to groups of all sizes, from small workshops to keynote presentations in front of thousands. Shelley is the owner of AuthorAudienceAcademy.com and blogs over at ShelleyHitz.com about helping authors succeed in writing, publishing, and marketing their books. She teaches from personal experience, not theory, and she's been writing and publishing books since 2008 and has published over 35 books, including print, ebook, and audio formats. She's sold over 103,000 books, and her books have been downloaded for free over 500,000 times on the Kindle store. Shelley is an award-winning and internationally best-selling author, professional speaker, podcast host, and coaches authors with a bunch of energy. Her clients are successfully publishing new books almost every day, and some have become #1 Amazon best-selling authors within days of publishing their books, simply by following her proven system. So welcome, Shelley. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you, Lorna. I'm glad to be here.
So, I found your website. I had been reading your books before that. And I thought, wow, this girl really knows how to, write and publish books. And so I was just so excited to see what you were doing. So, would you talk about your story and what inspired you to begin, blogging and writing books in the first place?
Yes, this is what I call the twists and turns of life. Something I never imagined that I'd be doing. I was not someone that grew up wishing and dreaming of being an author, believe it or not. I thought I was going to be a nurse or a doctor. I actually was a physical therapist for 12 years. I practiced for 12 years, and then I resigned my physical therapy job almost 4 years ago. At the end of August, it will be 4 years, to go full-time in writing, working in our business and our ministry. But the reason that I actually got into publishing is I was a speaker before I was an author. And one of our colleagues showed us a self-published book that he had. And I was like, wow, this is actually really good quality. And I looked at it and I just kept thinking, I think I can do this. And so I researched it, and my first book is for teen girls, because at the time my husband and I were professional, or we're speaking, we still are professional speakers, and we were speaking to teens. He would speak to the guys, I would speak to the girls, yeah. And I wanted a resource to leave with the girls. Many times 45 minutes wasn't long enough, and the girls would want counseling or want to ask me questions. And so in 2008, my first book was born. And I really thought it was going to be more of a hobby. But when I resigned my job in 2011, we went into a little RV, and we're going to just live in it full time and travel and speak.
Yeah.
And one of those defining moments happened. I was introduced to a Kindle course in 2012. And I'd already been publishing on Kindle, but I really got interested in just publishing more. Our speaking engagements were not coming in like we had planned. So it's like, I quit my job, we need money. What do we do? And in 2012, we published 23 books, and publishing became our primary source of income over speaking. And ever since then, I love marketing. I've been doing marketing and earning money online in some way for over a decade. So I already had a really good, solid base with marketing. And that's really what I believe has helped a lot of my success, is the knowledge in marketing and online marketing. And now I teach what I've learned to other authors. And so it definitely was a journey I didn't expect.
Wow, that's awesome. And that's actually incredible that you would publish 23 books in 1 year.
Yeah, so it was one of those, they say when you have a why and you have a really strong reason to do something, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And that was that year. It's like we needed to have gas money to put in the RV for the next thing, and we needed money for groceries. And it was like I had a very strong why. I was speaking to a group of authors in San Francisco recently, and the host family that took me out to dinner, they said, we have all these great book ideas, but we're not hungry enough. And so sometimes
Yeah.
authors can be the same way. You have other jobs, you have other things, you have your family. And so I want to also ask everyone listening, how hungry are you?
Yes.
Because I was hungry and I had a motivation and a reason. And yet now, even with it being my full-time income, I'm still hungry because I want to help people. I want to influence people.
Yes.
And all of my books so far are nonfiction and either in Christian living or in helping authors. And so I just have a passion for what I do. And that's what's really going to drive you across that finish line.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. And that is so true. When, when you're hungry enough, right? Then things are going to happen, right? No, that's really good. Well, so, I mean, you kind of touched on this, but would you talk about the steps, that you took that helped you to go from writing your first book to writing a book and publishing in 1 week? Because which book was that? You wrote about how you published a book in 1 week, and maybe you've done more than one that way, but I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I have done a few books that way. The book I was referring to is Procrastination to Publication. Or actually that was written, I talk about that in that book, but the book I was referring to is Build and Grow Your Author Platform.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so it's a short Kindle ebook, and I'm getting ready to format it to print because a print book is a business card that people will not throw away. And so one of my goals this year is to get more speaking engagements. And so I'm going to be using a couple of my shorter books in print format as in the packets that I send out to conferences. And so that's just another little tip of ways that you can use these shorter books even as a business card people will not throw away. Yeah. But yeah, I had developed a system. So I'm really into systems and repeatable systems, because once you go through a process, then you know the steps, but a lot of times, okay, then if I don't write it out, if I don't have my exact way that I'm doing it, and then I come back and I'm like, now how did I do that again? Yeah. Now what did I do for that? So I always recommend writing out your steps and developing a repeatable system. So I have templates I use that have the front matter and back matter already ready for the different niches I write in. I have different things that I have a team now that helps me, and so I have a system with how I use that team, and so when you have systems in place, and once you do something more than once, you start to get a feel for how it works and you get better at it. Yeah. So I recently did a marketing challenge, a personal one. No one was doing it necessarily with me, but I did 40 videos on my YouTube channel in 40 days. Wow. I also posted them to Facebook, and I also had some of them transcribed and put on my blog. But I got better at videos after doing 40 in 40 days.
Oh, no kidding.
Simply because I was doing it every day over and over, and I got really good at learning a few of the apps, and I did everything from my iPhone, from the creating really professional intros and outros and editing it, and I just got really, really good at it. So anything you do more than once, and our publishing company, we've published over 50 books, and so when you've done something over 50 times, you get good at it. And so I was just talking to some people on Periscope this morning. Have you heard of Periscope?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I do too. So I'm broadcasting on there almost every day, and I was talking about how when you have a coach, they can help you. It helps to make the process faster, that you learn the tips, the tricks, the shortcuts, all of that. And I am working with a speech coach right now because I'm really working on increasing my speaking engagements. And she's just helped me so many ways with so many things that she has from her experience. And it's the same way with what I do with authors. I'm teaching them from all of the things I've learned the hard way many times. Yeah. And so that's how I was able to go from writing a book in 1 year to 1 week, is primarily the systems that I've put in place.
Wow, that's awesome. Probably had to overcome some resistance along the way, and like worry, fear, procrastination, maybe not enough time, not enough money. So would you just talk about that and then how you were able to move forward in spite of it?
Yes, because we all face resistance. I don't care who you are. I don't care how confident you are. I don't care how talented you are.
Yeah.
You're going to face it. And personally, I write a lot of books in the Christian living genre. And so I also believe that there is a real spiritual battle going on too.
Yes.
And so sometimes I can come up against that. And one thing that really helps is to have accountability and support. So people that understand and know what you're going through. And so I definitely have a prayer team and people that pray for me regularly on that front. And then I also have writers and authors and other entrepreneurs that are there to support me. I have some people that I talk to every day on Skype, and only one or two, but they're there, and we can vent to each other, and we can talk to each other.
Yep.
And they help me sometimes just get through those little mind blocks. And then also just having a coach. When you have a coach, you're paying somebody for that expertise. That's very motivating to take action because you've invested money. It's like, I've heard someone say, it's like you have skin in the game.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, so what are you going to do now? And so that really motivates me as well. But I read a book earlier this year. It's called The Big Leap. I don't know if you've heard of that book. And it talks about, there's 4 different zones we can be working in. One is a zone of incompetence. So sometimes you just need to outsource, whether it's your formatting or your editing, your book cover design. And sometimes you just need to realize that's your zone of competence. And if that's where you're stuck, you need to outsource it and have people that can do that for you. Then you have your zone of competence. You can do it, but you're not really happy. That may be even the job that you're in right now. That may be a task that you do. And like that, for me, it's formatting. I am competent and I can do the formatting, but I do not like it. It drains me. So I hire out that task. So then, there's the zone of excellence. And that was when I was working as a physical therapist. That was my zone of excellence. I got paid well. I did well. I excelled. My patients liked me. And yet there's that one extra step, that zone of genius. And that zone of genius is so often where we experience that pushback and that resistance and that fear. Because when we are in there, I believe that is where our God-given gifts and abilities, our uniqueness, the thing we were created to do, is in that zone of genius. And we are going to face resistance sometimes when we're putting ourselves out there into that. And that's where I feel like I'm finally getting to now and where I'm at right now. But, I think just even sometimes realizing and understanding, like, okay, I'm in my zone of competence right now, and I'm not really reaching the full potential of what I've been created to do. I'm not going to let this fear hold me back. I am going to, move forward. I'm going to do what I was created to do. And then also, if you're a nonfiction author especially, but also fiction, some fiction have very powerful messages, but you have something to share with somebody else. And if you do not finish this book, if you do not share this information, they are going to they're not going to be able to benefit from it. Yes. If I don't share the information I have for authors on publishing and marketing and growing their business and all of these things, then there's going to be a lot of people that never are able to grow in that way. Yes, they could learn from other people, but there's something unique that I've been created to do. And so that's another way to look at it. Who can benefit from your information? I was talking to a dentist recently, and he has a very unique technique that can help certain people with certain disorders. And he just hasn't finished his book. And I said, put a picture of some of your patients that you have helped, that you've changed their lives. Put those pictures up to remind you every day, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm pushing through. This is why I want to finish this book, to help more people just like that.
Wow. That's really good. Yes. So really what you're saying is have the why in front of you. Just keep that in front of you. Because that's part of the thing that's going to help you get through the resistance, whatever you're whatever you're
Yeah.
facing. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's that you want to be a full-time writer, you want to be at home with your family, then put that front and center picture of your family and you guys doing something on a vacation, and that is your why. If it, you may have different motives and different reasons for what you're doing. If it's to grow your business, because like I've already said, a book is a business card people will not throw away. You get exposure on one of the biggest search engines in the world, Amazon.com, and you can get a lot of exposure for your business through books. And so if it's to grow your business, then keep that in front of your mind. How is that going to change your life? How is that going to change something? And yes, if it's just kind of a side thing and there's not really that really strong why, then many times it will get pushed to the back shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really good. And, I've noticed that in myself. So yes, the why needs to be strong. It's true. It's good. I know there's a lot of, lots of authors listening right now. But also there's people that have never written a book, but they would really like to. So would you talk to people that want to write? Maybe they have never written their first book, but they would like to write their first book. I noticed in your book, Outline to Finish Line, that you have some great processes for people to write their book. And so would you talk about, the benefits of writing a book and maybe share tips on how people can brainstorm and outline their book topic, those sorts of things?
Yes. And first of all, I just want to say that book is perma-free on Amazon. So if you're interested in this topic, definitely go and download that free book. Oh, awesome. And if you enjoy it, I appreciate your honest review. Do you see what I did right there?
Yes, that's good. That's awesome. Yeah.
We always need to be asking, when we're sharing our books too. But so there's so many benefits of publishing a book. And I'll just list a few of those for those of you that are considering publishing a book. First of all, you gain credibility and authority in your niche. So whatever it is that you are writing on, and even just if you're a fiction author, just the fact that you can add published author to your bio. Yes. And many times if you choose your categories correctly, you can be a best-selling author in your bio. And so there's so much that can happen just from that credibility and authority. And then, like I've already mentioned, you get exposure for your business, for your ministry, for whatever else that you're doing. It really is a great way to bring people into your business. So I mentioned that Outline to Finish Line is a perma-free book on Amazon. I've had another book that's perma-free on Amazon, Self-Publishing Books 101, and people are like, why would you want your book to be perma-free? Well, the reason is because it brings me new leads into my business on autopilot 24/7 from Amazon. So my book, Self-Publishing Books 101, it's been perma-free since 2012, and I get about 1,000 new downloads every month without me doing any marketing. And so it's a great way. You do a lot of work up front, to get the book ready and finished, but then it's marketing for you all the time. And then I funnel people from that book into my email list, into my business, and sell them additional products and services. So it's a great way to get exposure for your business, is to consider a perma-free book, or you can also do a free promotion. But even just having books on Amazon with keywords that people are searching for, that's something I teach in Author Audience Academy. And I just had a take action workshop last night on that, on, the exact strategy. And we went through it together, choosing our keywords, choosing our categories, and that can really help you get found. Then another benefit is just that you get to reach more people with your message. It's another vehicle. So maybe you blog, maybe you podcast, maybe you have a local business or ministry, but it's a way to reach people even internationally, because Kindle is in multiple countries and in multiple languages. In fact, I've even had one of my books translated into Spanish. And so you can reach other people in other languages and other countries, and it's a great way to get a message to many more people. You can also then find new clients for your services. So I have one of my members in Author Audience Academy is a ghost writer, and he's writing his books, and I call it the Author Audience Funnel, instead of like a sales funnel. And your book, on Amazon can bring you new leads into your email list. And then from there, you can give them your products and services. Well, his main his main upsell is going to be his ghostwriting services. And so he is creating a funnel, basically. He's creating a path for people to find his services that would have never found him otherwise, because he's gaining new leads on Amazon through his books. And then you can diversify your income. This last 6 months, I've been very focused on launching my program, Author Audience Academy. I'm proud of that program. I put so much sweat equity into it and really just put I call it the best of my brain, but I was really, really focused. So I didn't do a ton of marketing for my books. And you know what? In that 6 months, I kept getting income month after month after month, because Amazon does all the work for you, and it can become somewhat of a passive income. Now, I wouldn't want to do that forever, because you do need to keep marketing. There's a lot of competition, and marketing has, I believe, been one of the keys of my success. And so I'm going to continue to do that. But if you're sick, something happens, if you have another focus in your business for a while, you can still continue to earn money, and it diversifies your income. And so there's so many reasons to consider publishing on Kindle. Obviously, I'm very passionate about it. And even I teach about Kindle, print, and audiobooks and translations. So I've done all of those myself. Many of my books are in print, ebook, and audiobook formats. But there's definitely ways to get started. If anyone's interested, I have a webinar that I do, three book writing formulas every nonfiction author needs to know. And in that, I really get people unstuck to choose a book topic, to outline their book, and to choose, how they're going to write their book. And a lot of people really find value in that. So if you want to check it out, you can just go to shelleyhitz.com/live webinar. But in my book, Outline to Finish Line, it's free on Amazon. You can find 10 different ways that you can outline your book. I like to do what I call a brain dump. I know a lot of people will call it that, but it's just where you get everything out of your head onto paper somehow. So whatever works best for you. Some days I am totally into my mind mapping software, and I love that. And because I can move stuff around, it's already on my computer, and then I can just copy and paste that into a Word document, and I have my outline right there. Some days I just need to get away from the computer. I sit at the computer a lot, and so I just need to get away from software and computers, so I'll go to my whiteboard. I'll use different marker colors, and I'll just write all my ideas down. And then sometimes I use sticky notes. So you can use sticky notes or index cards to write down all your different ideas for your book, and then you can rearrange them in the order that makes the most sense. So whatever works best for you. Some people are more tactile, visual, offline. But then you can take that outline that you create offline and you can bring it online after you've had that inspiration, after you've been able to get all your ideas onto paper. But that's the beginning point. You have to get those ideas onto paper. You have to get it out of your brain and somehow either onto your computer or onto paper.
That's excellent. Well, I know, though, I've tried the whiteboard thing too, and actually that really works, because there's something about writing with your hand. I mean, either on paper or but I like using different colors of markers on the whiteboard. But there's something about, I don't know, it's like it inspires the creative juices somehow. I don't know.
It does. And I think you get out of your routine, and it's visual, it's tactile, and a lot of times then I'm standing because my whiteboard's right there. So you're up, you're moving around. Yeah. And I love it. And anytime I'm stuck, like recently, actually it was probably a couple months ago, I needed to create a brand new presentation for a live workshop I was doing. And I was just sitting at my computer like stuck, just staring at it. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. I got up, I went to my whiteboard, and all of a sudden, the whole presentation came out. So sometimes if you feel stuck, go to something else. Like if you're at the whiteboard and you're stuck, then come to your computer, try something else, try Trello, or try mind mapping, or try Evernote. Or if you're stuck on your computer, go and get some index cards or some sticky notes and try that. If something's not working, try something else and try to get those juices flowing, get that creativity going so that you can move forward.
briefly on why it's important to build an author platform and talk about those steps. Once someone has written their book, then it needs to, people need to find it. So, what would be some steps that they could take for people to find their book?
Yeah, so last year I was thinking, what has been helpful to my success? What has made the difference? And I was just really thinking about that for a few weeks, and it was actually, like I mentioned in the book, it was in church, and I said I should have been paying attention to the sermon, but all of a sudden, I had been thinking about it for a few weeks, but then all of a sudden, boom, 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 this came to me, this acronym, Build and Grow, and I wrote it down. I can't remember if I wrote it in I think it was a little notebook that I had in my purse. And I just started writing down all of the things that came to me. And the reason that I call my program Author Audience Academy is because as authors, we have a message, but then we need an audience. If you're on a stage and you're speaking to an empty auditorium, no matter how powerful my speech is, no matter how amazing my content is, will it make a difference?
Well,
no.
Be anyone there?
Yeah, if there's nobody listening. And that's what happens to many authors. You have an amazing message. Mm-hmm. You have a book that is awesome, but then you publish the book and you think that's the end, and you're standing on a stage talking to no one. Yeah. Or maybe just a few family and friends, your family, your friends, the people that follow you on social media, and you may have a few loyal fans, but then after that it's just kind of like, where is everybody? Yeah. So it's really, really important to have that audience. And so that's what Build and Grow, that's an acronym. And do you want me to kind of go through what the acronym stands for?
Yeah, would that be okay?
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, so Build, the B is creating a bridge to your readers. So it's being a bridge. And if you're an island and there's no roads in to get to you, you either have to take a plane, you have to swim, but it becomes very difficult to get to that island. However, if there are roads coming into that island from all different places, then people can get there, can find you, and that's what your author platform does. So basically, I like to call it a promotion pyramid. So it's like, a pyramid, a triangle, and one point is your website. Yeah. One point is your email list, a opt-in email list, and then one is your social media. Yeah. So those are bridges for people to find you. There are ways to connect with you. I've done a lot of author platform reviews, and it's amazing to me how many people they'll have a website, but I can't find their book anywhere I'll be looking around, and I have to eventually Google their name and their book name to find their book. Or how many authors don't have contact pages. So there's tons of things you can do with that, but just to be able to have those basic ways to form that bridge. The U in Build is understanding your target audience. And this is something that I've really been working on myself. We're always learning, we're always growing. And I have another website, trainingauthors.com. However, on that website, we're just trying to reach everyone. Yeah. Fiction, nonfiction, traditionally published, self-published, there was no real niche. And I realized I needed to really understand my target audience. And so now my main target audience for Author Audience Academy are pastors, ministry leaders, and Christian entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. That's my background. I've been in Christian ministry. My dad was a pastor, and then, my husband and I have been in full-time ministry, and then I'm a Christian entrepreneur. This is who I am. I can relate to that audience. So when you understand your target audience, even if it's not you, you can speak to them, you can market to them, you can talk to them in their language. If you're speaking to everyone, a lot of authors will say, well, my book is for everyone. Well, then it's going to probably attract no one. Yeah. I like to think, someone recently told me the analogy of a magnet. One side attracts and the other side does what?
Repels.
Repels. Yeah. So we should be in such a way that who we are really, really strongly attracts certain people and really, really repels other people. Yeah. If you're not doing that, you probably haven't gotten your target audience niched down enough. And that was my problem. And so now there's going to be some people that are really turned away from me because I'm really speaking in a Christian language. And then there's other people that are really going to be attracted to me because they can relate and that they understand that. Yeah. So the I in Build and Grow is invite. And that's where you invite them into your space. I like to think of it as inviting someone in for a cup of coffee to your house versus standing on a street corner with a megaphone saying, buy my book. Yes. It's going to be much more effective when you invite someone into your home, you're drinking coffee together, you're having a conversation. And so the way that we do that is through permission marketing and through an email list where somebody gives you permission to continue the conversation. And you don't want to just say, buy my book in all your emails. Yes. You want to build a relationship. Like you're sitting down with them, having a cup of coffee, talking to them, interacting with them, telling them about yourself. You don't have to tell them everything, but tell people, a story. I went over here this weekend and this happened. And, add some stories into your emails. Yeah. And then also social media can be a way of permission marketing when people choose to follow you, choose to come and listen to you. And then the L in Build and Grow is link together with others. This is what's really powerful, especially for new authors. It's when you go into someone who has an established audience. So like now I'm on your podcast. You have an established audience. Your audience is getting introduced to me because I am on your show. So that's podcast interviews, guest blogging, other things like that, maybe even affiliates that choose to promote you, and you're able to then be introduced to an established audience by linking together with others. And then the D in Build and Grow is deliver amazingly helpful content. Yesterday on my blog, I actually had an email and somebody asked me for places they could advertise their Christian book. Since that is my niche audience now, I decided to answer his question in a blog post, and it's 100+ places to promote your Christian book, or Christian authors can promote their book. And I wanted it to be an amazingly, helpful content that would get shared, that people would be like, wow, thank you so much for sharing this. And I put a lot of effort into that. So you want to deliver really good content. Yes. And really, develop that rapport with your audience so they grow to know, like, and trust you. And then finally, the Grow in Build and Grow, the G is give. So you definitely do want to give, whether it's through your blog, you do it through podcast, your email list, however it is that you're doing it, you want to give and again, deliver that great content. R is results. So you want to be always checking your results. I use Lead Pages, and so they give you like your statistics, and you can see how well certain things are doing. And I just added 2 new things for people to sign up to my email list yesterday, and already today I had new subscribers. It's working. Yeah. I'm getting results. If something's not working, guess what? Maybe you should try something different or change the title of the opt-in or tweak it. I always say test, tweak, and, let's see, there was another T in there. But yeah, you want to test and tweak it because many times you can just get a ton of better results by a little bit of a tweak. Yeah. The O is offer. A lot of times we either shout too hard, buy my book, buy my book, or we don't say anything at all. Yeah. And people don't even know what we do. Like I have people I'm connected with on social media, and I don't know what they do. They don't, really share enough for me to know. If you follow me, you will most likely know what I do. Yeah. And I try to do it in a way that's not in your face, but you definitely want to have times where you give an offer. You want to offer your product, you want to offer your book, you want to offer your next book in the series, and you want to say, hey, this is what I have, this is why I want to share this with you, and give them a chance to buy. Yes. And then finally, the W is write more books. So one of the reasons I've been able to have almost a full-time income with book royalties is because I've written so many books. Some books don't earn many royalties at all. You may have some books that really, really, really do well and others that don't. And sometimes, you can do a ton of the research, and that's what I teach in Author Audience Academy, of how to know which book topics are profitable. But even with that, sometimes you don't know 100% how a book is going to do. And so if my husband and I would have stopped writing books after our first few and just really focused on marketing those books, we would have never written the books that are now our best-selling books. Yeah. And so I always encourage authors to keep thinking of, what is your next book going to be? And write more books. And if that's part of your strategy. So that's the Build and Grow acronym that I share in that book.
That's awesome. And those are such great tips. Very helpful.
I never considered myself a writer either. However, 35 books later, here I am. And so I ask you, have you written an email today? Have you written a blog post? Yes. Have you written social media posts? You are writing every single day. Yes. And so I think part of it is just the turning on the switch that, people think writing a book is so much different than the writing they're doing every day anyways. You're writing text messages. You're writing you're writing all the time. And then some people are better at speaking their content. So I'm a better speaker than a writer. So my last 2 books, I spoke those books. I outlined them, and then I spoke them and recorded them and had them transcribed and edited. You have to have them very well edited because the transcripts aren't going to be as good. But that was really huge for me because I was able to get them done a lot faster. And a lot of you already have a ton of content you could repurpose into a book. My very first book, Mirror, Mirror, Am I Beautiful? Looking Deeper to Find Your True Beauty, it was actually taken from a lot of the content on my website for teen girls, findyourtruebeauty.com. And I repurposed those articles that I'd already written that I knew were connecting with my target audience. And I knew from the speaking I was doing, it was connecting. Yeah. And I repurposed that into a book. So there's so many different avenues. You don't have to think that you are the best writer on the planet. If you have a message to share and you have a strong why and you're willing to put in some work, there are editors out there that can help you. Yes. You don't have to do this all perfect the first time. Get it onto paper and then, find the support team to help you that you need and just take the next step.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I mean, and that is so true, right? That'll just keep on writing, keep on trying, right? And that'll help get you beyond that barrier. That's awesome. Okay, so Shelley, one last question. What are some new projects or books, or I don't know, things that you have on the go right now, and maybe you can also tell people where they can find you and your books online.
I have a book that's been on my heart for a few months, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but then you either don't want to write it, and part of it's what you were talking about in the last question. It's like you get this resistance and this and it's a book that has to do with some of the painful things in my life, and so it's like, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to have to think about that. Yeah. I just want to have happy thoughts. Yeah. Yeah. But the other day, I realized I need to write this book, and I felt a very strong prompting that this was a book I needed to write. I needed to share, and I've shared bits and pieces of my story in all of my different books, but this will be more of sharing things together in one book, and then in a way that can really offer hope and encouragement. And the title, it's a working title, would be Broken Crayons Still Color. And just talking about how God is using my brokenness for his glory. Yeah. And some of the darkest times in my life are now being used to help people all the time from around the world, pretty much, through my books, but other ways too. And so that's one book that I'm working on. And then I'm getting ready to launch my own podcast. I've been a co-host on booksbusinessandbeyond.com with Kristen Joy Eckstein. But I'm getting ready to launch a solo podcast. It will be called Author Audience Podcast. And I'll be talking about writing, publishing, marketing, growing your business, and just all these different topics to really help you. And it will just be teaching and sharing. I'll have a few episodes where I'll be highlighting some of my members from Author Audience Academy and tips from their success, kind of behind the scenes. And then to find me online, just go to my website, ShelleyHitz.com, ShelleyHitz.com. I tell them my last name's like a Ritz cracker with an H. Shelley Hitz. And I'm pretty much Shelley Hitz on every social media platform. I don't believe authors need to be on every social media platform. I teach that you should be on one or two. But I teach marketing, so I'm on all the social media platforms. So wherever you hang out, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, I'm pretty much everywhere. Google Plus, just find me, look for Shelley Hitz, and it's usually where I will be. So I'd love to connect with you. And I'm also doing a ton of Periscopes now, and it's a way to connect with me live. Right now, I'm only offering coaching and interaction with me like that inside Author Audience Academy. So Periscope is a great way to connect with me too.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, thank you so much, Shelley. I mean, you're a fount of wisdom when it comes to writing books and, and getting them out there, right, and marketing them. So I just really appreciate your time and that, that you just shared all these great tips and advice for all the authors out there today.
Appreciate you having me, and I really want to encourage every single person. My message to you is that you have a gift, you have a unique message, and I encourage you to allow that to shine, not to hide it, not to be afraid of it, but to let it shine because somebody needs what you have. And so I encourage you, take that next step. If you're stuck, tweet me or contact me, and I will see what I can do to help.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks again, Shelley. It's been great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.